In October 2007, a company that once employed nearly 25,000 people and symbolized the American PC revolution sold itself to Taiwanese electronics corporation Acer for $710 million. 7 years earlier, Gateway had been one of the most recognized computer brands on Earth. The distance between those 2 points is the story of how a direct sales empire built on farmland instincts couldn't survive the industry it helped create. The origin is almost absurdly humble. In September 1985, Waitt and Mike Hammond founded a small business called the TIPC Network. Waitt had dropped out of 2 different colleges to work on his family's cattle farm in Sioux City, Iowa, before landing a job at a computer store in Des Moines. After 9 months selling machines, he noticed a gap. Customers wanted systems between the low-end budget computers and the overpriced higher-end models loaded with features most people never used. He believed educated salespeople could sell computers entirely over the telephone, eliminating the overhead of retail showrooms. Strapped for capital, Waitt borrowed $10,000 from his grandmother, Mildred Smith, and set up shop on the empty upper floor of his father's dilapidated cattle brokerage. Hammond, his former co-worker who had trained him as a computer salesman, joined him. Their first products were software and peripherals for Texas Instruments' discontinued professional computer, advertised in computer magazines. They charged customers a $20 membership fee just to generate working capital. Within 4 months, TIPC Network earned up to $100,000 in sales, beating out competitors in the aftermarket segment for a machine most people considered obsolete. By the end of 1986, Waitt renamed the company Gateway 2000 and recorded $1 million in revenue. The breakthrough wasn't engineering, it was positioning and nerve. In mid-1987, Texas Instruments announced a rebate program allowing customers to trade in older home computers toward a $3,500 credit on new PC-compatible systems. Waitt believed he could offer such computers for half the cost. Gateway 2000 released a complete IBM-compatible system with dual floppy drives, ample RAM, a color monitor, and a keyboard for $1,995, sold entirely through mail order. Revenue jumped from $1.5 million in 1987 to $12 million in 1988. The model worked because Gateway stripped away everything the customer wasn't willing to pay for. They assembled machines from parts supplied by other mail-order companies. Instead of hiring computer engineers and industrial designers, they relied on Waitt's instincts for what consumers actually wanted. Their early customer base shopped on price alone and rarely requested complex technical support. This allowed Gateway to maintain a remarkably slim overhead and undercut competitors who carried the weight of engineering departments, retail leases, and service infrastructure. The growth flywheel was simple and powerful. Low overhead produced low prices attracted volume, volume funded catalog advertising, and advertising brought more customers who shopped on price. In early 1986, Ted's brother Norman Waitt joined as financial advisor in exchange for owning half the company, professionalizing the back office. Gateway moved from the family ranch to the 5,000-square-foot livestock exchange building in downtown Sioux City in 1988, a step up from a cattle brokerage, but still signaling the company's rural, no-frills identity. Through the 1990s, Gateway scaled this formula into a national brand. The company's distinctive cow-spotted shipping boxes became iconic, a visual promise that this wasn't some faceless corporate machine, but a company rooted in Midwestern plainness. By the year 2000, Gateway employed nearly 25,000 people worldwide. That figure represents the documented peak of their workforce and cultural reach. But the structural weakness was already embedded in the model. Gateway's competitive advantage depended on a specific market condition: customers who shopped almost exclusively on price and needed minimal support. That condition was a feature of the personal computer's early mass-market adoption phase. As PCs became commodities and customers grew more sophisticated, the advantage of having instinct-driven product decisions instead of proper engineering and design became a vulnerability. The company had built its identity around being cheaper, not around being better. The competitive landscape shifted beneath them. Dell had perfected a build-to-order direct model with tighter supply chain management. Hewlett-Packard commanded enterprise relationships and retail shelf space. The PC market consolidated around companies with either superior logistics or diversified product ecosystems. Gateway occupied neither position securely. After the year 2000, the company entered what the record describes as a 7-year-long slump. Losses mounted, market share eroded. The company's various divisions became a source of cost rather than competitive strength. Management attempted to diversify, but without the engineering depth or brand permission to compete in adjacent markets, these efforts consumed capital without generating defensible positions. In 2004, Gateway acquired rival computer manufacturer eMachines in an attempt to regain market share and consolidate operations. The logic was volume. If Gateway couldn't grow organically in a market that was moving away from its strengths, perhaps it could buy its way back to relevance through a lower-cost brand. This was followed by massive consolidation of the company's divisions, an effort to cut losses and find a sustainable operating structure. It wasn't enough. The eMachines acquisition didn't reverse the fundamental dynamic. Gateway was a company whose founding advantage, selling adequate computers cheaply through catalogs and phone lines, had been absorbed and surpassed by competitors with deeper operational capabilities. The PC industry had matured past the point where instinct and low overhead could substitute for engineering excellence, supply chain mastery, or ecosystem lock-in. In October 2007, Acer acquired Gateway for $710 million. To put that in perspective, this was a company that at its peak employed nearly 25,000 people and was one of the defining brands of the American personal computer era. The acquisition price reflected not a thriving business, but a brand name, a distribution footprint, and residual market share that a Taiwanese hardware company could fold into its own global operations more efficiently than Gateway could operate independently. After the acquisition, the Gateway brand continued to appear on products, but as a label within Acer's portfolio rather than as an independent company. The headquarters, the workforce, the decision-making autonomy, all of it was absorbed. The people who built the company from a cattle brokerage attic were no longer steering it. The rural American identity that once distinguished Gateway from its competitors became a historical footnote rather than a living brand proposition. The broader PC industry learned a specific lesson from Gateway's trajectory. A cost advantage built on operational simplicity works only as long as the market rewards simplicity over capability. When the industry matures, when competitors adopt your efficiencies while adding engineering depth you lack, the company that defined itself by what it didn't spend becomes the company that can't afford to compete. Gateway's decline wasn't caused by a single catastrophic decision or a rogue executive. It was the compounding result of a structural position that had an expiration date. The same instinct-driven, low-overhead model that took the company from a $10,000 loan to 25,000 employees was precisely the model that couldn't adapt when the market demanded more than adequate machines at low prices. The empire was built on a temporary condition, and when that condition ended, so did the empire. What remains is one of the clearest case studies in technology business history. Dominance built on market timing and cost discipline is real, but it is not permanent. The companies that survive industry maturation are the ones that reinvest their early advantages into capabilities their competitors cannot easily replicate. Gateway never made that transition. By the time its leadership recognized the need, the window had closed.